Mondays are considered the most boring day of the week. But by the sound of my voice, I have single handedly made Mondays more interesting. My name is Denzel Gaga, and I am the host of the Make Mondays Interesting podcast. And this is a God given talent production sponsored by Pamelia Accountants, financial solutions for your family. Every Monday, I have thought provoking conversations with special guests. And my special guest today is a good friend of mine, Chester Salcedo. And we talk about the lessons learned from 2020 so far. It can be a broad question or can be considered a broad question, but the question is, what has 2020 taught you?
All right. Well, 2020 has been a crazy, crazy year. It's taught me, I guess, a lot. Definitely a lot. Especially like during COVID and all that. But I think as I reflect through 2020, I think one thing that's definitely like taught me is taking care of myself. And like in a way, because me, I work two jobs. I study full time. I study audio engineering. And on top of that, I have other commitments like church. I do youth. I do creative, and it involves a lot of like seeing people and all that. But I think God definitely like kind of like taught me to like just to make sure to like take care of myself and just like and it's so important like because I'm sure it's the same for you, like being a youth pastor, you have to like see so many people. But I think definitely like I've learned that on top of that, I think it's good to like watch over myself because you don't want to end up burning yourself out. I think like when you're so involved with a lot of things, you could easily just like see so many people, catch up with so many people, and then eventually just like almost forgetting to like take care of yourself. And I think like definitely this year I've learned not to burn myself out. I think it's connected through 2019 as well, but I think 2020 I've learned more to like just to watch out and not to burn myself out. Because I think if you burn yourself out, it kind of like leads you not giving 100% into like the things that you do. And like from what I see, I just want to give 100% on like whatever I do. So like and for me to do that, I gotta focus on like watching over myself, make sure that I don't burn myself out. Um, but yeah, but 2020 has like definitely taught me a lot. But I think like if I could say one thing that's definitely like really hit me, and that's making sure that I don't burn myself out and that I look after myself as well. And I guess like when it comes to like my relationship with God, like I gotta like prioritize that. I gotta make sure that hey, like on top of everything else, and it's good that seeing a lot of people, speaking life into a lot of people, but on top of that, I think it's just you and your relationship with God matters the most, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but that's a lot I could talk about,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah.
That's good. That's good. And so, like, curious, how long did it take for you to get to that moment? Was it definitely the whole COVID thing, that the isolation? Was that how you got into that moment of realization? Hang on,
Yeah,
I should look after myself.
yeah. I think definitely when COVID hit, because obviously I think when COVID hit, everyone had to isolate themselves, and like there was just a moment where we're just sitting at home doing nothing. And I think that's what like hit me is like, whoa, like it feels so weird not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
And I just had like almost like a sense of peace, even just not doing anything. And but yeah, and I just kind of just like realized like, whoa, I actually like do quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. And then like I know it happened 2019 as well. Like, I got the word from like my pastor, like I'd say like 2019 before we moved to Brisbane, to just like watch over myself and like not burn myself out. So it's kind of like, yeah, in COVID, like when COVID hit, I was just chilling at home, and it just hit me like, whoa, I actually do a lot. Like I gotta make sure that on top of everything that I do, that I gotta prioritize my relationship with God. I gotta watch over myself, because end of the day, I don't want to like burn myself out and then like not give my all to like the other things that I do. But I'm not saying that it's like bad to like doing a lot of things. I know a lot of people who could do a lot and they're just like they stay good. I'm sure that's you too, bro. Like I'm sure you could do so much and like and it'll be all good. But like yeah, I think definitely when COVID hit, yeah, that's when I like kind of like discovered more like whoa, like I really need to watch over myself. I'm doing a lot. Um yeah.
Wow. Like a season, a forced rest is what some would call it. Like that
Facts,
idea
yeah.
of like, yeah, it's like, man, life's so busy. And then COVID hits, like, okay, I can't hang out with anyone. I can't, it's like,
Yeah.
still just have to work though, or I have to still stick to my priorities, but
Mm.
I can't fill up my schedule with all these like gathering there, gathering here, and people, and busy, busy, busy.
Mm.
It's like I have to free up my time because
Yeah.
I have to social distant.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
so
1.5.
yeah, yeah. It kept
1.5.
changing every day at the beginning, how long,
Mm.
how far to be, but um,
Mm.
yeah, I'd say the same. I would
Mm.
definitely. I think I can't say I've fully learnt it or developed it. I'd be lying if I
Mm.
did, but I'm still in
Facts.
that
Yeah.
mode of like, all right, 2020, I have to keep learning to rest because I can go through seasons
Mm.
of like, okay, I'm resting, and then I go through seasons of like,
Mm.
I've got all these ideas, I got to work on, and
Yeah.
keep going.
Facts. Yeah.
Um, so I'd say the same answer to what you just said,
Mm.
but I'm still learning. I'm still
Yeah. Me too,
developing the
bro.
habit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah. For
Um,
sure. Yeah.
so like, so tell me about, um, you talked about, let's talk about your creativity because when
Yeah.
I think of you, I know you as a very creative person and
Mm.
a very talented one, um, a very talented creative person. And I think one question I thought about asking you is because you talked about once COVID hit and you're forced to rest and you're
Mm.
forced to like let go of your schedule in a way and not be as
Mm.
busy as before. Um, were there like moments of how to best word this is
Mm.
um, where you were like, man, I just want to create, and
Yeah.
or did your way of creating change because you rested more? Were you more
Mm.
creative, or were you less creative because you're like,
Mm.
oh, I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and not do anything. Like, I don't have to be
Yeah.
anywhere. What was
Yeah.
the? Where were you? Were you like less
Um.
creative or more creative?
Yeah. I'd lean more towards more creative.
Yeah,
I think definitely when COVID hit, when like all the schedules kind of like disappeared, like being at home more made me more creative in a way.
yeah,
And I'm sure it's the same for like the other like people who has like a home studio at home. I'm sure that they would have like made like I don't know heaps of songs during COVID
yeah.
and all that. Definitely when I was home, I spent more time just on my computer on my like little studio setup and just like make some like music. I did get in the stage where like just staying at home kind of like limited my creativity in a way because like
Yeah,
for me I like to go out like in cafes, go out like in the beach and just like kind of just look in the scenery and like get inspired. Like in a way like being stuck at home was good. In a way it kind of like limited my creativity because I needed to go out and like just be inspired.
yeah,
But I'd still like lean more towards like I got more creative during COVID because I ended up just like painting a bunch of stuff. I've been creating like just a bunch of like t-shirt designs and that, which
ooh,
I never really had time to do till like COVID hit,
yeah,
which is cool. Um, but definitely COVID like gave me more time to create. Just being at home and just creating just a bunch of stuff, whether it's through music, um, creating designs for like shirts and that, or even just having like this spontaneous ideas like in the future, like I don't know, running like a mad concert slash like a motivation kind of like kind of like a motivation kind of conference and that. I was just
yeah,
like
cool.
I was just thinking a bunch of stuff, but I just made sure I wrote them down before I forget.
Yeah,
Um,
smart.
yeah, 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 bro. Yeah, COVID's definitely helped out my creativity.
Yeah.
Mm,
Follow up question to you said being more creative,
mm,
because I'd probably be the same. And when COVID hit, I
mm,
was forced to change up the type of content that I produced and posted to YouTube. Now
mm.
I've reached to a point of like, I'm going to make podcasts. And so, yeah, in a way, it's changed up how I create and what I do. Um, but you might be different. I can see my creativity. I do treat my creativity as like work and something that I work
Okay.
towards because I want to build something out of it. And so my
Mm,
question to you is like, because you talked about how your biggest lesson from this year is learning to take care of yourself more and resting
mm,
more. Because I do believe there are a lot of people who, yes, like yourself, became more creative, but haven't
mm,
really like they've become more creative in a way, taken on more work, taken on more
mm.
responsibility of working on projects to the point of they're not really resting and
Yeah,
probably getting to a point of burnout. So how do you manage resting as well as being
that's a good
a like
question. Yeah,
extremely creative person, because
extremely
you're
creative.
now home a
Yeah,
lot, creating a
yeah,
lot.
creating a lot. Yeah,
It's like, how do you rest if you always just
yeah.
want to
No,
create?
that's a good question, bro. That's a really good question because I remember going through this. Even now, actually, when uni started back up,
Mm,
I just had like a bunch of ideas I wanted to create, and I got to a point where I had too much in my hands, and I'm like, oh snap, I can't do all of this.
yeah,
But I think, like if I take it back to COVID, during COVID when I was just creating, I think I just got to a point where I just like I think same things I said, just like just then like having too much in my hands. I think
yeah,
during COVID I just realized that oh like it's so fun doing creating all this stuff, but I just realized I'm just like doing too much right now.
yeah,
But I guess I just like the way that I rested is pretty much just like there's like a term in like in my audio engineering course that
mm,
it's called like ear fatigue, and it's pretty much like ear fatigue is pretty much like when you spend too much time say like on a track, and you like you keep say you work on it for like 3 hours, and then ear fatigue is pretty much like your ears just getting used to um like what you're creating and what you're hearing, and pretty much like if you take a break from like that, say you're in there for like 3 hours and you take like a 10-minute break and you come back to it, all of a sudden you'll start hearing the like the little bits like that sucks.
yeah,
And like I remember I'm doing this, like I created like a track, I worked on it for like I'd say like 2 hours, and I took like a 30-minute break and I go back to it and just
mm,
realized that it's not sounding as good as I wanted it to be.
yeah,
And after just like learning that, like, oh snap, I should take more breaks so I could just like realize what I could like improve on or what's not sounding good. But I think the way I rested though is like pretty much just like just looking outside. I mean, you couldn't really do much during COVID, so I just pretty much just like went for a walk in my neighborhood. I think family time's like really key as well, definitely. Um, but yeah, like yeah, I don't know what else to say, but that's the only way I rested. Is pretty much just like getting away from creating for a bit, get a fresh of air, spend time with your family, with your friends.
yeah.
Well, actually, not friends during COVID. You couldn't spend time with your friends. Just with your
Just whoever
family, go for a
whoever
walk.
you live with, really.
Exactly, whoever you live with. If you don't live with anyone, that sucks. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
mm,
Um,
mm.
can I ask like follow up question? Um, how important was it for you to get out of the house?
Like during COVID.
Yeah, like during
Yeah,
you said taking breaks. Like how important
I'll
was it?
take your break. All right.
Yeah,
It was really good because like what I said, for me create from a way for me to get inspired is just like going outside, going for a walk, just like seeing people walk by. It was like it was very important for me because it just like gave me time just to like reflect, gave me time to like just get more inspired. and just getting outside the house, especially like being stuck there for like the whole day, or like how many days we had to like isolate. It was just like good just to get like fresh air, get inspired, get motivated again, because it does get pretty boring at home, especially if you just do the same thing all over again every day,
Yeah.
with the same people. So that was very like just very refreshing just to get outside outside the house and that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Can I ask then, like, talking about the whole, because I think it's super important that we get breaks, we take time
Mm,
away from the screen, take time away from doing work, take time away from working on projects, working on ideas. Um, this. I think what you're saying can be applicable to not just creating, but applicable to
that's right.
any and everything. Like
Mm,
a lot of people had to work from home. Probably some people still
yeah.
are. And it's like the importance of taking
Mm,
breaks. Um, but because we're at home a lot, and maybe for your instance, because you have your home studio, you're working on
mm,
projects, recording music. How do you? And then you also mentioned how you've got all these ideas that you've written down, whether it's like
mm,
t-shirt designs and
yeah.
just full on just different things um, that don't necessarily relate to each other, but like are just different
Mm,
fields or ideas.
mm,
So because I think it's so easy for, say, I'm like this. It could be so easy
yeah.
for myself to be like, oh, I've got all those ideas. Let's work on them all at once. But for you, it's like, can I ask, how do you prioritize those ideas? Because I think part of
Yeah.
prioritizing is not just prioritizing ideas, but prioritizing breaks and how do you prioritize and what's the importance of prioritizing for you?
Prioritizing my projects and that.
Projects,
Sorry,
breaks,
projects,
everything.
breaks.
Yeah.
Um, wait, sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Sorry, bro.
No, that's all good. That's good.
So, yeah, yeah. So, like, it's just like pretty much just a follow up on how I prioritize
Yeah.
my
Um,
projects. Yeah,
because you can have so many ideas
yeah.
and it's so easy to just keep working on them and not take
Oh, I get you.
breaks
Yeah, yeah.
and the importance of prioritizing
Okay, yeah.
that.
Okay, yeah. I think definitely for me, I had to like organize time, like set time.
Mm.
Like I use Google Calendar, or I used to use Apple Calendar, but it's used
Yeah.
Google now. But for me, management is like key if I want to prioritize time for like my projects. So like say from a uni from my uni projects, I prioritize doing like my practical work Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays.
Mm.
And say if I want to work like on my own music, I usually just do it on my free time, which is usually the weekends.
Mm.
I think for me to prioritize break as well, I have to like pretty much just like I don't necessarily put it down, like write it down or anything. I just make sure that I take a break and like make sure I don't like um no fully like go sleepless or anything like
Yeah,
that. I just
yeah.
want to make sure that I'm having good sleep. I want to make sure
That's
I'm
good.
eating well as well. That's key.
Yeah.
Especially like if you're creating at home, like when you're blind, so like all close, you can't tell if like the sun's down sometimes and all that. So I think just like just looking out outside, making sure and like looking at the time when it comes to breaks. But I feel like when it comes to projects, for me to prioritize it, I was gotta like manage it well. Because that's one thing I'm working as well. 2020, that's what I learned is to like be organized, man. Because I need to stay organized. Like, yeah, I'm not the most organized person out there. So
Yeah.
yeah, just managing time well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Because I think it's super important to prioritize things and um, like I said, it's you can have all these ideas and we just want to work on all of them.
Mm,
We're like, I've got this idea, got to push through, got to get it happening, got to get it off the
mm.
ground. And then we could just get caught up in like just work, spend so much screen time,
Yeah,
not
man.
take rest, not take breaks. And then it kind of, in a way, let's say, if going back to that thing of learning to take rest this year, it's like it
Mm.
really defeats the purpose of the lessons that we've been learning this year. It's like,
Yeah.
if we're just, I've got more time to work on ideas, but it's like, hey, the whole point of 2020, I think, for all of us was just learn how to
Mm.
rest and
That's right, bro. Yeah.
put some ideas on the shelf, write them down,
Yep.
but put them on the shelf, save them for another time, work
Yeah.
on what you can now, make sure you take
Yeah.
breaks. And so that's where I definitely sit on that whole like prioritize.
Mm.
Um, yeah, because it's so easy to just like
That's right, bro. Yeah.
consume in work, which I am
Mm.
guilty of. I consume myself in
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Me too,
Um,
bro. Yeah. It's crazy.
and because I think, yes, we've all learnt that lesson of let's take
Mm.
breaks, but I think the trap that we can all fall into to end the year is just falling back into work, um,
Mm. Work,
of
work, work, work.
workaholic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I think I remember this too. I even like look ahead in the future too. If I get too used to like working so much, having so much time just to do projects after projects after projects, the more I look at it in the future, like when I finally have a family, say when I have kids, a wife, like I want to make sure that I practice that now just to take breaks to just recognize when I'm working too much. And it's cool to like stay in the grind, whatever. But I think end of the day, like looking ahead in the future, like definitely God comes first, but family as well is up there. I think having time for your family in the future would be like really key. Cause I remember oh, I forgot who I had a chat with, but it's with an older lady, but she explained to me that it could actually like be so much when like I don't want to say names, but like it was her husband. Like it could be so much when like you just like on the grind so much that you just forget about like your own kids sometimes, like
Yeah,
even
wow.
your wife sometimes you forget to have time with them. um and she was just like reflecting how like it takes a toll like on her and then her kids.
Wow.
um yeah, so like I definitely like, yeah, 2020 I wanted to like start practicing just having time for my family now, to make sure that I take proper breaks. Apart from being on the grind, it's good to like take rest, just like in the gym. If you want to build muscles, you need rest days.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
um you know um but yeah, bro, rest is key. And then COVID, it all led us to resting at home.
Yeah,
uh yeah,
you're so
that's
right.
good.
Um,
Mm.
I think, yeah, COVID forced us to rest,
Mm.
but it is also very easy to just not rest in this time,
Mm.
just to keep working from home and keep
Mm.
going and the grind,
Mm.
which I think,
Yeah.
would you agree with? Do you believe this grind culture can be such a toxic culture?
um in a way, yes, when it comes to like you just focusing so much like on like about yourself and just like pretty much forgetting say about your family, or if
Mm,
you married, your wife, your kids and all that. um but in a way, like staying on the grind is good, especially if you want to be successful, if you want to I don't know, like run your business. Like it's fine, I guess, in a way to like work really hard, and that's fine. It's not bad to like be a hard worker or stay in the grind, but it's just like it's all about remembering to taking care of yourself, to take care of yourself, and to like remember that you have a family there that you got to watch over. But yeah, but because I know a lot of like friends that I know who are like artists. They're always in the grind in the studio, and like that kind of like hunger for it is like it's
mm,
fine in a way. But I'd say to them like just still like take care of yourself, bro. Like it's good to stay in the grind, but make sure you're getting good sleep.
yeah.
Make sure you're eating well, because that's important. You need to watch over your health.
Mm.
Um, but yeah.
'Cause I guess you could
Mm.
say, like, if you're not resting, you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating well,
Mm.
and hey, in the long run, you might become successful, but you might not be healthy enough to enjoy your success. So
Facts,
that's,
yeah.
I guess, one way to look at it.
Mm,
Um, yeah. And so, like, this is more of like a light-hearted question,
yeah.
but because you've been spending a lot more time with family, is your
Mm.
family driving you up the wall yet, or do you love them even more?
Oh, um, so I moved back to Brisbane just last year actually.
Yeah.
So like I moved out 2018. So like a whole year just like me living with like a couple of church mates. But when I got back to my family in my parents' house, it has definitely been, I gotta be quiet. It's, it's definitely been it's definitely been a bit challenging.
Yeah.
Like just living with like your parents again, and
Yeah.
then makes you like want to like move out.
Yeah.
But like in a way, like man, like if I could like be completely honest, I think when COVID hit, that's when my family and I had more time together, which is like
Mm.
really cool to see. Cause even like I think, oh, what's the date today? In 2 weeks we'll have like our first proper family holiday, like
Mm.
first proper family holiday, which we haven't had in like a couple of years. So
Yeah. Wow.
it's been like refreshing. When it comes to like time with family, me being back to Brisbane during COVID, since we're only allowed to see your family,
Yeah.
it's been like really refreshing in a way. Just like seeing each other more, having more time for each other, because
Yeah.
yeah, we had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then even now that COVID's eased off a bit, I could definitely see my family relationship like stronger than it was, I guess, like before. Like it's
Mm.
definitely brought us back up together again. And I'm even just like reflecting on how we used to live back in Philippines, like,
Mm.
and then reflecting into now. It's just like it's just amazing. We're so blessed. Um, and we're just so grateful to like be together in an amazing country.
Mm.
Um, but COVID's definitely yeah, made our family time like a lot better. Like we have more time for each other, which is
Yeah. That's good.
really good, bro. Yeah, but yeah,
Mm.
living at home back here again definitely tests your patience sometimes. But hey, like oh, what's that saying? Like the people that love you the most, hurt you the most, or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, they don't. No, it's just yeah.
Yeah.
uh, no, it's been a challenge, but it's been good.
Mm.
Mm,
That's good because I think it's so easy to. I think that's what people have been dreading when COVID
mm.
first hit. It's like, man, I got to be with my family and da da da. And
Yeah,
I think for me, yeah, I live out of home, so I don't live with my family.
yeah,
So I wonder what it would have been like if I was still living at home and then COVID hit.
yeah,
I
yeah.
literally managed to move out of home a month before,
Right before.
right
Oh yeah,
before. So it's like,
yeah,
um, yeah, I wonder what my life would be like if I was still living with
mm,
my parents.
yeah,
Um, but because I have been definitely taking more time to go see them more
yeah,
often, I think it's also just because I think I'm realizing also the importance of being with family,
yeah.
um,
That's cool, bro. Yeah,
because it's like I think this COVID also helped. It's like I think before COVID, it's like oh, I just want to spend time with mates, hang out,
mm,
be with
yeah.
friends all the
Facts, bro.
time, and it's like you know what, I actually got to go see my family and hang out with them, and
Yeah,
which it's like oh, I don't want to do it, but then it's like you
yeah.
know
I
what,
guess I
actually it
have
was good.
to.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, like, I guess I have to, but then
yeah,
it's worth it in the end because it's like
yeah,
because even with my family, we're actually there's more free time for all of us, and so um, we're not as busy as before. So it's like
mm,
when we're there, it's a good time together because it's not this
right. Yeah,
uh, everyone's got their own lives, and it's like no, everyone's together
mm,
because of a pandemic. It took a
yeah.
pandemic for us to develop better family relationships
Facts, bro. Yeah.
for all of us, not just for myself. But
Mm,
um, yeah, so
mm.
um, I forgot the question I was going to ask you, but
Always.
um, I think I want to get your thoughts on this. It's, do you believe like um just make sure I'm wording this question correctly.
All good,
You
bro.
know, you do believe it's super important to be spending time with family more than it is to spend with friends or hanging out, or spend more time than just
Ooh.
working? Do you believe it's family is more important than every other aspect of life?
Whoa. Yeah, that's a good question. Um I think in my culture, like being Filipino, definitely family comes first on
Mm,
top of everything. God comes first though, of
yeah.
course. But I think definitely yeah, family is like should be up there. Um
Mm,
I mean, especially like in my culture, just like even in my story, just like just seeing where we came from and just like seeing where we are now.
mm,
Like definitely family should be on top of like over my friends, over like even over work. But then again, like sometimes it is like it is tricky, especially like I think in a way too, like even an example, say like you had like something on the Tuesday and then like it's your sister's birthday. Like obviously I'd pick over my family, like over that, I'd pick over my sister's birthday and all that stuff. And even like the little things with that family comes first. But it is tricky though, because like I know my family's super busy. Even during COVID, they work like pretty much all of them apart from my brother and I. Um, because I think my brother and I just studied, yeah, and then I stopped studying, then I got a job. But I think yeah, it is tricky, like still trying to keep family first, especially if you like family so busy
yeah.
working. I guess you can't really do anything like if they're not available on that day, you can't like really do much.
Mm,
But I think it's still important to like try our hardest to just keep ourselves like up there, like on top of our like other friends and that.
mm.
But that is a tricky question though, because like your friends are important too. Like I don't want to say that you know they aren't as important as my family, but you know, but family comes first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's a really interesting question. Like
Mm.
I don't know, how would you? Yeah, what would you say about it? Like I don't even know.
I
I
think
think yeah.
I believe like it's so easy to neglect family. It's so easy to,
Mm,
because it's like, oh, I grew up with them and I lived with them. They raised me and I'm over them and I don't like their rules over me. It's so easy to neglect
mm,
family, but like I think something, all right, something that I've been learning
mm.
most recently, I'd say, but it's because it's happened in 2020, so it's a 2020 lesson.
Yeah.
It's like friendships only last in seasons. Like you won't have the same friends
Oh,
for the
yeah.
entire life, your entire lifetime. Yeah, you
That's
might
good.
have that one friend that sticks around for a few years, but
Yeah.
even when you grow up and your lives change, you see that
Mm,
friend a little less. Um, so I've definitely noticed that this year. It's like my
mm,
friendships have changed quite. Um, especially coming out of high school, your friends definitely change. But
mm,
now, even now, it's still changing. My friend group's changing. Who I
that's
trust
right.
the most is changing. But
That's true, bro. Yeah.
your friends will always change, but your family won't. It's like
Yeah.
your mum will still be your mum. It's not like
Facts, bro. Yeah.
she's your mum for X amount of years and then you get a new mum. It's like, nah,
Get a new one. Yeah.
you have the same mum and you have the same dad. And
Mm,
um, and look, I'm not saying I'm the perfect person or the perfect example. Um,
yeah.
by the end of this podcast, I have to learn to practice what I preach sometimes.
Yeah. Facts. Me too, bro.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, if that's the case, if we can't change our family, or not that we can't, yeah, we definitely can't change our family,
Mm,
and our family won't change,
mm,
then those are the relationships we have to focus on more than friends, because friends will
mm,
come and go because of seasons in life. Um, and well, because this is the let's say this is the Make Mondays Interesting podcast, and
yeah.
so the idea of this podcast is for entrepreneurs and anyone who has dreams to feel inspired.
Yeah.
And whilst we're having this conversation about family and the importance of family, I think family has been so neglected, for things like friends, spending time with friends, for people around our age, for people who are chasing after a massive dream and want to be entrepreneurial or see themselves entrepreneurial. It's like, stuff my family. I'm just going to spend all my time working on this project and grind. It's like, there's so many things that are stopping us from spending time with family, or you could say neglecting our family to focus on
That's true, bro.
other things. And listening to what you've been saying about how 2020 has taught you to, take care of yourself. It's also giving you more time to spend time with family. Well, I'll give you another example. There's a bloke that I spoke to, and a great point that he made when he talked about how he was on the golf course, and what he loved seeing was all these dads playing golf with their sons. It's like, and the way he described it, it's like dads are finally being dads for once and actually doing stuff with their family, because of the work culture has been so, I could say, toxic. There's a healthy work culture, but
there is. Yeah,
I think a lot of us have fallen into a toxic work culture
That's
where we
for sure, bro.
neglect family and just spend time in work, or spend time with mates and going to the pub or something, or it's like we're spending time anywhere but our family. But 2020 has forced us to, you know what,
That's
I
right.
need to go see my family a bit more,
Yeah.
and be around them. Am I the perfect example of doing that? Probably not. But I've done the best I can. But I also recognize that I can do better. Because I know they'll be listening to this podcast, and it's like, you do spend time with us, but maybe a bit more would be nice.
Yeah.
So,
Facts, yeah. No,
I'm not
that's
going to
really good
speak
point, bro.
lies.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's really good point. That's good.
So can I ask you, because I've actually enjoyed all your answers today, and you talking about learning to take care of yourself, spending more time with family, being more creative. Is 2020 been? Would you say? Let's say this. Has COVID, because a lot of it has centered around COVID, of everything that's happened. Has COVID been a blessing in disguise?
For me, actually has been.
Yeah.
That's because it's definitely just I've learned through so much during COVID. Whether it's through personal stuff or even just learning from others. COVID is it's been a blessing in disguise for me. Just having more time with my family,
Yeah.
having more time creating, and when restrictions eased off, appreciating more time with my friends. Like, it was good. Just like seeing my friends again. But 2020 has actually been like a good year for me, and I'm sure that now a lot of people had to go through it like even worse, which really sucks because every year is like, it is a challenge every year, but
Yeah.
actually, like, COVID itself is definitely like blessed me in a way because I've learned so much through it,
Yeah.
and I could definitely say um my relationship with God, even with my relationship with God, has gotten way better, just having the one-on-one time, and all that. It's actually crazy too, like, before COVID hit, I actually got a word already from God, because I was like, I do like my journaling and like my prayer right in my room, and I remember playing a praise and worship song, and I was just like praying and like lifting my hands up, praising God, and all of a sudden I just felt God say, I want you to do this more, and all that stuff. And then I'm like, oh, like, I will be doing it. But then all of a sudden it started changing into, I think you're gonna be doing this more. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when COVID hit, church went online. Like there's no physical church to go to. It's just like crazy how I ended up like physically just like praising him at home, and it's like just like um and just like getting used to that instead of just like waiting on a Sunday just to like
Yeah.
praise him and pray. But there's definitely one other thing that I learned from 2020 is just like just just knowing that um that I could praise God the same way at my home, like how we praise him like a church and that, which is like good. But 2020 has been a blessing.
Yeah.
COVID has been like a blessing. So
Yeah.
I know it sounds bad, like it got other
Yeah.
people sick, but like COVID has been good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been good, bro. Blessing in disguise for sure. Yeah.
I think in response to what you said, I definitely have to say that unfortunately, yes, COVID has had a financial toll on people. People have passed away from it. It sucks. But I think we also should see the positives in it.
That's right, bro. Yeah,
which is like
always got it.
see it as a blessing. And yes, it has come with traumatic things, but we can't just be like, oh, giving 2020 the finger or something. It's like, no, we have to just be like, okay, let's be thankful and appreciative for what has happened. Yes, it sucks. People have passed away. People have lost jobs. It sucks. But like, just I think going back to that family discussion and that whole learning to take care of yourself more, it's like, man, if you never experienced the pandemic, you probably would not have spent time more. You would not have spent more time with your family or spent more time.
That's right.
Actually being a family person or being present in your family. And I think we too often focus on these negatives. It's like, let's focus on like the good that has come from it.
That's right,
and
bro.
that's where the blessing in disguise terminology comes from. It's like, no, this was the best part about it, and this is what it's created. This is the culture it's created. And so yeah, I would definitely agree in terms of it being a blessing in disguise. And yet the church discussion about what you said, church is not a building.
That's right.
You can praise God whenever and wherever.
Exactly, bro. Amen.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we too often look at church as this religious structure of this building and so yeah, look, my hope is that this podcast is not just being heard by just Christians, but if you are happen to be listening to this podcast and you don't believe, I think my encouragement to you is like, hey, Jesus didn't need the church to exist. All this church is not just some structure or this hierarchy. It's like,
that's right. Yeah.
Christians aren't just going to church to just tick a box. Christians go to church because we believe in Jesus and we believe Jesus loves us.
That's right.
And yeah, I think that's how we have to.
Amen,
that's
bro.
how, as Christians, we now see it. It's like that's probably the more important bit. We're not ticking a box or a religious box. We're doing it because we are loved by God.
That's right.
And there's nothing we have to do to earn that love. And if you're not a Christian, you are still loved by God. You're still loved by Jesus. And I will not shy away from saying that. I'll have no shame in saying that. It's because it's what I believe in. And if I'm sharing my beliefs, then I'm a genuine person in a way. So
that's right.
If you would agree with that. So anything to add to that little comment of what I just said there about?
Yeah, definitely. I think just like when it comes to like church, I think personally the people are like the church. It's not the building, but the people are the church. And I think just like knowing that we don't have to be in a building with smoke machine with I don't know $1 million lights, like massive speakers. Like we don't need that. I think all we need is like pretty much just us, our voice, our heart, and just go up and just like us speaking to him and having time to listen from him as well, which is important.
Mm,
But yeah, they're definitely right. It's not just like a building. We don't go to church just to take a box or anything like that. We definitely go just to hear from God, to be there for other people, for the community, and just simply because we love God and we believe in Him,
mm,
and He loves us and He loves each every one of us, and I'm sure that because I have like a couple of friends who don't believe as well, and and I always tell them that like, hey, it's not just the building. It's always just about like relationships with other people. We're about community. We're about taking care of each other, looking out for each other. But yeah, bro. Yeah, church is definitely just not a building.
yeah,
It's more than that. Yeah,
definitely.
yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, if anyone's listening, I just want to emphasize this point. Jesus loves you,
Mm,
and that's all you need to know. And you don't need to hear that just from a church or be in a church to
mm.
realize that. You can experience that right now.
Facts. Yeah.
And yeah, Jesus loves you, and that's my piece of encouragement for anyone that's struggling to believe or struggling to understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's it. Jesus' love.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
hey, I'm running out of questions to ask you, but I actually
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
appreciate the answers that you had to share, and I
Thanks,
actually
bro.
glad we had this discussion because it was such a productive one and such a
Yeah.
fruitful one. And
Yeah.
yeah, any final things you have to add?
Yeah.
Or
No, not really. Hey, I think just for like from what we were talking about, I just encourage everyone just to like watch over yourself. No matter how much you work or whatever you're doing, whatever projects you're working at, just make sure that you take care of yourself. Remember that you have your family there. Remember you have friends there that you could always talk to. Um, but yeah, that's about it. Hey,
yeah,
and just like what we were saying, Jesus loves you. We love you. If you need anyone to talk to, hey, we're here.
yeah, that's a
Yeah, yeah.
solid piece of advice to finish. So thanks so much, Chetty. I
Thanks,
appreciate
bro.
it. And I know that people listening right now most likely feel inspired to, if they feel inspired to do anything, it's at least go visit their family more often.
Yeah, facts.
So cool. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Chetty.
No, thanks so much, bro.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Make Mondays Interesting. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope your Monday has been made more interesting. If you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to share this episode with a friend so that they may be inspired also. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of the week.